Hey, beautiful people. Thanks for tuning in. This is Uncut Gems with Slim, your weekly motivational push to dive deep into fulfilling your purpose, pursuing your passion, and expanding your capacity to become your best self. Yo, what's good, everybody? How y'all doing? I really hope y'all are doing well and staying safe, y'all. COVID is definitely still a prevalent topic of discussion. So I just want to make sure y'all washing y'all hands, okay? Y'all wearing y'all mask and everything like that. Other than that, I'm doing good. If y'all were wondering, all is well over here. And we are staying safe here where I am. And I just wanted to start off and do a little recap. If you are watching for the first time, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Uncut Gems with Slim. I am so glad you're here. I am the host, Jasmin, better known as Slim Reshae. And again, I appreciate you for tuning in to this episode. And I hope this week's gem will add to you in some shape, form, or fashion. And if you've been tuned in since our initial launch, thank you. Thank you for coming back for another gem this week. So last week, we touched on being both hungry and full. If you have not listened to that episode, make sure you just go ahead and pause this episode, go listen to last week's episode, and then come back to this one and click play. But last week, we touched on being both hungry and full and realizing that a lack of results is not a depreciation of value. And so as I was thinking about what I was going to talk about for this week's podcast, I was listening to a sermon. Right now, if any of you guys know what Transformation Nation is, or if you've ever watched a sermon from Transformation Church with Pastor Mike Todd, right now they are in their fun month at TC. So I was listening to this sermon that was preached by Pastor Robert Madu. I think that's how you say it. And his message basically tied directly into like the season that I feel like I'm in right now. It's like I don't really feel like I'm in a entire season. I'm in like an appetizer of a season, like a little snack, a midday snack of a season. And I just feel like what he was talking about was really relative to how I've been feeling the past like week or so. And his message was titled, "Don't Forget to Remember." And basically he came out the gate sharing that oftentimes we remember the things that we should forget, and we tend to forget the things that we should remember. And I was like, you know what? That's so true, because I was just talking about how like sometimes I have to go back and look on the accomplishments that I've done and goals that I've reached and things like that to remind me of, you know, the goodness of the blessings, okay? And so this is basically the thesis to this dissertation I'm about to lay out for y'all. Basically, at times we forget what God has done for us, and we forget his faithfulness. That's basically what he was talking about this entire sermon. And y'all, we love to sing. I seen you move. You move the mountains. And I believe. I see you do it again. But do we really? Shout out PT. But do we really believe that he'll do it again? And like, even in the midst of what's going on right now, especially during this pandemic, God is still working. Y'all, this man literally never takes a day off. I mean, you got to think about it. If you've been furloughed during COVID, literally that means you had a job. And if he allowed you to have a job once, he sure can do it again. Y'all following me? If you experience a financial drought, okay, first of all, you wouldn't know what drought is if you ain't had some moisturized soil before the drought came. I don't know how I'm relating this all together, but basically what I'm saying, if you're experiencing financial drought, he literally can restore your finances. He's been faithful. He will continue to be faithful because that's who he is. Okay, that is who he is. So we have to remind ourselves of God's goodness, because if we get caught up in the tangibles and what we see in the natural, we'll lose sight of not only what he can do, but what he will do and what he has done. Okay. Ooh, I'm preaching, and I ain't no preacher. But anyway, y'all, literally, if we get caught up in the tangibles, we'll see like what's in the natural, and we will kind of just like lose sight of what God has done and will continue to do. And so basically, in regards to being caught up in the tangibles, y'all, I got so many notes for this podcast today. Y'all lock in. That's all I gotta say. In regards to being caught up in the tangibles, which for my people, I'm breaking down. Tangibles, basically, that just means the things that are perceptible by touch. So like tangible results, analytics, things of that nature. I've had the pleasure of being self-aware or becoming self-aware, and I've been like this for about the past few years, and it's been so delightful being able to be self-aware. And you literally gain access to another level of yourself when you become self-aware. So basically, before I tapped into this self-awareness, honey, I really didn't know me. You literally tap into a new level of you when you become self-aware. And basically, by definition, I looked it up for y'all. By definition, self-awareness is conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings, motives, and desires. And child, we could park the boat right there, honey, and dive deep into self-awareness, because that's a whole situation in and of itself. Like, do you really know your desires? Or is what you like what you think you like based on what you consume on a daily basis? Like, what are the motives behind your actions? Is there an unintentional hidden agenda? Do you even know the answer to that question? Have you ever even asked yourself these questions? Like, those are different things that I'm talking about when it comes to being self-aware. But I'm going to get off that boat. I'm going to get off the boat. I'll let you drive the boat, and we're going to keep on moving forward. But basically, through my journey of becoming more self-aware, which is a journey that builds day by day, so it don't come all at once. You don't just wake up, light bulb, turn on, and boom, you self-aware. You are constantly growing more self-aware day by day. And through this journey of self-awareness, I started tapping into self-actualization, which it is a difference. Self-actualization is the realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potentialities. Okay, I wrote that word down because it was my first time knowing that that was a real word. So yes, it's the realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potentialities. And that basically means maximizing the use of a person's abilities and resources. So really, what I'm saying for me, after tapping into my self-awareness journey and start tapping into self-actualization, I started working towards maximizing all the different aspects of myself. And with that, being honest and transparent with myself about me. So whether that might be acknowledging unfavorable character traits, because we got them, honey, or whether I'm uncovering purposeless desires and things like that. And so in doing this, I oftentimes will remain in like this constant mode of evaluating myself and noting like the progress and the results of maximizing my potential abilities and resources. And so for this week's gem, I basically want to encourage you guys to not let self-evaluation and criticism, whether that be internal or external, to become counterproductive. And so you might ask like, okay, well, sis, when would I know if my self-evaluation and acceptance of constructive criticism is becoming counterproductive? And from my experience, you'll know if it's being ineffectual when you're spending more time evaluating yourself, evaluating your business, evaluating the current state that you're in. If you spend more time doing that, then you spend making a conscious effort to improve and progress, that's when it becomes counterproductive. If you're stuck in the planning phase of how to become a better you and you're just judging yourself based off of internal and external criticism, that's when it's counterproductive. And y'all, for real, you have to remember, you must remember God's faithfulness. We must remember the facts about who we are and not the perception. And that's how we grow, that's how we progress, and that's how we achieve. We have to remember the facts. Take some time this week to acknowledge the facts about who you are and what God has brought you through and blessed you with. So let's go back this week. I want y'all to just remember how far you've come. Remember what God's brought you through. Remember all the small things, the small blessings, the big blessings. You're here. You're listening to this podcast. You have life in you. Let's be thankful for those things and grateful and appreciative for God's faithfulness. If He moved a mountain before, He'll do it again. Okay? If He made ends meet before, He'll make them meet again. He is a miracle working God, and that's just a fact, and that's on period, y'all. That's what He do. And just because you may have not experienced a significant life-altering miracle firsthand does not negate the fact that He has, and He still performs miracles, okay? Listen to people's testimonies. That is straight evidence of God's miracle working abilities. So just because you haven't experienced it firsthand does not negate the fact that He is who He is. He still and always will perform miracles. Just because you ain't touched the sun don't mean it ain't hot, okay? Ain't nobody got to tell you the sun hot. You ain't got to touch the sun to know that the sun hot. Y'all know it's hot. So quit playing with God now. He be performing miracles, and y'all need to remember that forever ever. Y'all, that's all I got. Make sure y'all leave me a review and a rating if you've been enjoying this podcast thus far, and until next week. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and feel free to connect with me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Slim Reshae. That's SLIMRESHAE. Links will be listed in the show notes, and until next time, love yourself and be beautiful. Peace.